Hey folks, Phil B. Man here. Another follow-up video. This is to the experiment of doubling up some hives early in the spring, and then when the weather turns sour on me again, I put them back inside. In fact, we doubled them up pretty much as we were putting them inside. And these hives, so they spent about 10 days back in the wintering shed, and now they've been out at least that long. And so I'm a little curious what that looks like compared to maybe there's a hive off in the corner here. Both of those have also been doubled up strong and weak. So this is just a version of the old paper trick where you have a weak hive that isn't going to be much use, maybe below viability, and then you got a boomer, and you put a piece of paper. I put the queen excluder on top because that keeps the piece of paper from blowing away when you're trying to do this on a cold winter day. And then you put the second box with the weak hive on top. The heat rises, so I like to put the weak one on top. And then you hope that the bees do their thing, and a combination of that shared warmth and also the bees going to where the work is, that strong workers from the strong hive gradually boost up the strength of the weak hive. That's the theory. Okay, so in this case, what we're expecting is to say, would all that still work inside a wintering facility where there's no light, there's no, sort of normal springtime conditions? So let's open them up and see. So there's these here. This is a hive that we only gave it a single strip here, so we didn't think it was much use. It's now using up a whole pollen patty. So this is the area the hive was probably populating. Lots of eggs. So that's probably what the hive was. How much has it grown? At least one more frame of brood. It's matured out. That's all eggs. So it's really starting to take off. That's nice. We'll pry this box off. See what it looks like underneath. I'll maybe just clean this off while I'm here. There's the queen excluder. This gives you a bit of sense of what they do with the paper. They clip the coupons that they wanted. They gradually throw the whole thing out the door. This stuff that's kind of been chewed on and worked on with bees actually makes really good smoker lighter fuel. So I'll just clean this off and I'll put the whole thing back together. Oh, we should check just to double satisfy ourselves that we still got brood happening in the bottom here. And this method isn't, it never claims to be 100%. Lots of brood here. Sometimes a hive is weak because there is something wrong. If there's something wrong with the queen, you come back, they've chewed a much smaller hole in the paper and have all drifted to the whichever side is better. So you don't really lose anything, you just save the bees that could be saved. In this case it worked out pretty nicely. Oh, and there's our girl, right there. Sorry to take this time, but I can't let that bird comb just sit there. All right, we'll put it back together. The excluder should sit a little nicer now with all that junk down there. Oop. And really, I knew this was successful just because the pollen patty was being well chewed up. If the queen's not brooding strong, those pollen patties always look pretty neglected. Okay, give it some feed. There we go. Okay, I'll check the next one. This one doesn't look as promising. Yeah, I would suggest this one didn't take. Okay, so we'll pull that box off so you can see what that looks like. see, pretty small hole. There it is. Wasn't that much of a hive we put it on either from the looks of things. That might have been part of the problem. Last time I had the lid off of this hive, it was snowing, so we might not have been doing a very good job of judging them. Or it continued to go downhill because it's got some sort of problem. Who knows? We'll find out, I guess. Well, got a queen. Here's our queen here. Not much of a cluster. Oof. This frame, this frame, this frame. I'd call that a weak nuke. So I'm not sure we can blame the paper method for that, but it's sure not a success. Hopefully some sunnier days will make them happy there. Okay, we'll reposition the camera and do the last two. This one we wrote on the lid that when we were looking at it before, the cluster had kind of broken into two. That's not unusual in cases where the hive is really kind of starving. It's just whatever's left will sit on top of whatever honey they got. Let's see if we were able to save it. So the original cluster would have been just under where that pollen patty had been put. I'm not looking too promising here. Everything's very light. The fact that they didn't consume the patty makes me think we got some sort of queen problem. Okay, no brood. If they had killed the... Oh, there she is. Holy crap, look at that. I was about to say that if they had killed the queen through poor introduction, they wouldn't be able to pull her body through the queen excluder. And there she is. One wing pulled off. Poor girl. That's a yellow. It's a 2002 queen. Interesting. So, now, was she weak and sick? Don't know. But she was alive and in the hive. Well, I don't know alive, but she was in the hive when we doubled them up. That's interesting. So some of this powder here is bulk soy we poured into them when it was too cold to put a patty in. So there's lots of brood there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that one we'll also put back into being a single. Take the queen for our records. So right now we're batting 33%. Pretty good if you're a Major League Baseball player, pretty lousy if you're a beekeeper. This looks a little bit more promising. You can tell from the position of the apistan strip that when we were looking at this hive before, we thought the cluster was way over on the edge there. So I'll pull a frame or two out. Okay, so brood, fresh brood, quite large larvae here. Capped brood here. I'll show you that larvae again. So this one is really, I'd say, taken off just in the last few days. Brood, well, last week maybe. Hardly any capped brood. Got eggs and young larvae just galore. So this hive is really, I'm going to take this extra strip and put it in here. This one's working. So I guess, you know, Meatloaf saying 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I guess we are 2 out of 4 on this experiment. What do you call it, a success for failure? I mean, I got 2 hives. I would for sure have been taken down by cold if I left them outside. If I'd taken them back inside as they were, they might have survived. I don't know. But they're going to come ahead quite nicely now. 2 out of 5 is way worse than the average. I figure I get, you know, sort of 8 out of 10 on this paper method typically. It's not 100%, I guarantee you that. But it's reliable enough that you certainly want to do it. Do we want to look in the bottom and make sure it is happy and healthy? Sure, let's do that. You can see just in here, that's where the hole is, and of course that's where the new brood has started to happen. When I put this back together, I won't bother with the paper, it's done its work. So I guess this brings you to the what's the lesson of my little trial here? Would I, in a year where I thought the hives I had inside were a strange mix of strong and weak, and if winter dragged on I'd lose the weak ones, would I systemically, you know, pull the bees out early, combine them and put them back in again? I don't know. That sounds like a lot of risk and work. So some brood there. We went to so this isn't a real super boomer on the bottom either. Did we choose our support hives poorly? Did this hurt them? I guess we can go back to the video. I encourage you to go back. Check out those hives from when we made the video and see if you can tell if they grown or shrunk. That'll be something we can all learn from. I'll give this one this extra cut here. You always got to reposition these to where the bees actually are. Okay, nothing left but the cleanup. I'll do that on my own time. You don't need to be along for that. Yes. I'll maybe you don't need to spend every minute with me here, but I'll maybe check. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 that are doubled up. So at some point I'll stick in the comments how many of those are ones that were doubled up after they came back out again. So this was 4 hives that were desperately weak, put on top of the 4 decent hives that we could find when they were clustered as tight as cannonballs, and we put them up, put them back in the shed. The rest of these were doubled up after they came out again, and it'll be interesting to see, are those better than 50%? One of the ones that was weak that came back out didn't make it, so you got to include that somehow in your calculations. Okay, well, I checked all those. I couldn't wait, and got 8 good and 1 drone layer out of 11. 2 were a bust, so that's way better than this indoor trial. So is that bad luck picking the wrong hives, or did it not work? You'd have to do more trials, of course, but I'm thinking I wouldn't get too excited about doing it lots of times. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day.